Yo, so welcome back to the channel. We are in sunny Scotland, and today we're doing a head-to-head comparison between the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, the GoPro Hero 13, and the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. Full disclosure, Insta360 contacted me and they said they want me to do a comparison between their new Ace Pro 2 camera and one other of the big hitters in the space. So I said, you know what, I'll just go and buy the other two cameras out my own money, and we'll just do the ultimate comparison between all three cameras in a non-biased way, so you can decide which camera is best if you're looking at getting a new action camera. So I'm going to go and take the bike, we're going to take it for a rip, and we're going to go and test all the features. So I've got these cameras set up in front of me. We've got them in the highest resolution right now, so we've got 5.3K on the GoPro, 4K 60 on the Action 5 Pro, and the same goes for the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. We're going to do some laps of the pump track, the bike track behind me, and we'll compare these videos side by side. Alright, so I've put the GoPro in 4K at 60 frames a second, so it's all a fair test. So we're going to do a lap. Need to get warm. It's so good having something like this so close to the house. Let's see what this looks like. It's a little bit windy now, so be interested to see what each of these cameras does to handle that wind noise. I actually have the settings on the camera set to pretty much the same. Now, between these three cameras, I don't think it's worth discussing the stabilization. Any action camera you buy, GoPro, Insta360, DJI, they're all insane stabilization. And I actually have the stabilization set on the middle mode, so it's not even the highest instability, because I want that widest field of view for my mountain biking or anything that has motion in it. And if you go for the highest stabilization option, usually what the camera does is just crop in more, so you lose a little bit of that field of view, which I'm not really that into for me personally. So before we do that, I have these cameras all set in the highest stabilization setting now. As you can see, all these cameras, I'm going to just jump around now. In fact, I could even run in. You can probably see what the stability looks like. We'll run back and you can see it. The stabilization is pretty decent on all three of these cameras. Let's talk slow motion. So all three of these cameras will do slow motion up to, I think, 120 frames a second. So we're going to put this on now and we're going to give it a test on the bike track and see if you can tell the difference. Okay, slow-mo is on. All three cameras at 4K, 120 frames a second, and you'll probably notice that the screen, the field of view will be cropped in slightly. All three cameras naturally do that. They don't do the hyper view or anything on 120 frames a second. So let's do a lap and we'll slow it down. So one thing I will say while I'm just catching my breath, as I'm doing these little tests, I'm having to play around with the cameras quite a lot, which is getting me some good experience with the navigation of the cameras and the touchscreen. The touchscreen on the GoPro is definitely not as good as a touchscreen on the DJI and the Insta360. And by good, I mean DJI and the Insta360 are a lot more responsive. It's a lot more easier to adjust your settings when you're on the go. Whereas with the GoPro, I had to be really, really precise, and it was a bit of a fiddle, to be honest with you. Whereas the Insta360 and the DJI were bigger text, bigger letters, so it was easier to move around, and it made a noise every time I moved as well, which I really liked, because that's a really good feedback signal, so you know what you're clicking and what effect you're actually having. So it'd be rude not to fully send it and show some buttery smooth 240 FPS footage. Just look how smooth that footage is from the DJI camera. And then this is also the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. Bosh! Let's talk about picture quality and image quality. I've got all three cameras in front of me now and you can see them. The Insta360 shoots at 8-bit, whereas the DJI and the GoPro can go up to 10-bit. And this won't matter for 99% of people, but if you're somebody who wants to do a bit of color grading to their videos, post-production, and you want a little bit more freedom to customize the overall product, your video, your photo, then 10-bit is going to give you that. 8-bit is still amazing, but it's worth pointing out that the Insta360 can't do 10-bit, whereas the GoPro and the DJI can. One thing I really do like about this camera in particular is this massive flip-up screen, which these two cameras don't have. So if you want to do any vlogging, or you actively want to see where you are on the screen, look at that, it's even face tracking as well. It's tracking my face, which is really, really cool.
One thing I also wanted to point out while I was putting this video together was the magnetic mounting system on both the DJI and the Insta360 camera. And just look at how fast you can change the camera or take it off to do anything with it. Same goes to the Insta360 camera. Just literally snaps off, super secure, magnets are super strong, bang, straight back in, ready for action. So I still feel GoPro are a little bit behind the time. They still have their screw-in system, which takes a little bit longer and is a little bit more of a faff. Maybe it's just my fat fingers, but I much prefer this magnetic system for action cameras when you literally want to get things on and off as fast as possible to make sure you don't miss the shot.
All right, we've swapped bikes. We're now going up the mountain to go and test the low light performance on these cameras. Trails are very dark, so it's going to be a really good test of how good these cameras actually are in the low light. One thing is worth noting as well is the sound on these cameras, the audio. There's one thing I want to point out on the Insta360 camera, which I love and I've been looking for from an action camera for years now. In the past, I've had all sorts of dead cats, like little fluffy things to cover the microphone ports to stop the wind. Insta360 have brought this actual cover that clips on to the front of the microphone, which is amazing. I want you to pay attention to that compared to the cameras, and we're going to see when we're at full speed how each of these cameras deals with the wind noise. Okay, so we're at the top of the trail. Deep dark trail is in there. I don't know if you can tell how dark it is, but it's misty. It's probably the worst conditions you could ever ride in. Now I have all these cameras set at the same setting, 4K 30, the widest field of view possible. With the Insta360 has a mode in here called Pure Video, which we're going to use, and this supposedly improves low light quality. So this is going to be the best test of this down here, and we're going to put them side by side and see which camera is best. Let's give this a go, and we'll drop into the deep dark woods. So also remember to pay attention to the sound on this as well, the audio quality. Oh my, it's dark. Oh, slippy as well. We've had a lot of snow and rain here recently, so try and avoid the puddles. Whew, I've actually no idea what this video is going to look like, because this is the first time I've tested this, so I don't know if you've ever ridden an e-bike before, but it's so damn good for just getting laps in. This is the steepest road ever, and we're just cruising up having a conversation.
So I went back up again to do another lap to make the most of my ride, and this is the GoPro Hero 13 as we drop in. I do really like this field of view, but as you can tell in a second, the wind noise isn't great. You can see there's a lot of muffled noise, and I'm not got any microphone covers on or anything like that. I just think the Action 5 and the Ace Pro 2 do a lot better job out the box of dealing with wind noise. But having said that, I really do like this field of view. This really is a realistic point of view for an action camera. I also got the chance to test the Insta360 magnetic mount, which allows me to switch between 16:9, so videos for YouTube, and 9:16, which is perfect for shooting social media content like Instagram stories and reels. And this just means I just have to carry less accessories and equipment with me on my bike ride. DJI also offers a similar setup where the camera goes inside a case, and it allows you to do exactly the same, mounting the camera either vertically or horizontally. I tested this out at the pump track earlier today. Let me know in the comments what you think of the angle. Alright, so my verdict on these three cameras. I think action cameras now They're all bloody damn good. But for me, there are a few standout features on the different cameras. Obviously, you saw in that comparison, the low light performance for me was an absolute game changer when it came to the Ace Pro 2 with that pure light mode. I'm not even being biased there. The comparison isn't even up for negotiation. It was pretty close between the DJI Osmo Action 5 and the Ace Pro 2, but the GoPro just really isn't there when it comes to low light performance. This was all automatic settings and automatic ISO, so the cameras were doing the best to cope with the low light. I just think those other two cameras did their best. Whatever they've done on this camera in terms of technology, it is mind-blowing. Same goes for the wind reduction. That's another big thing for me and anybody doing any action sports. For mountain biking, the last thing you want is this horrendous wind noise on your footage. And I found that this new clip-on microphone was awesome.
Try and avoid the puddles.
The actual built-in microphone out the box on the Osmo Action 5 is pretty damn good as well. And they also, obviously all three of these cameras have their inbuilt automatic wind reduction settings. You did see though on that final trail that I rode with the GoPro, the wind noise was noticeable. And that was with the wind noise reduction turned on. I don't know what I would do to make that better. Kind of annoying because when you get an action camera, you just want it out the box and you just want it to work. You don't have to buy accessories or botch together some microphone covers to go on your action camera. I just think that's ridiculous. Image quality, again, I personally prefer the image quality on these two cameras because they just have a bigger sensor. And obviously a bigger sensor means it's easy for the camera to process and it can actually process more data versus the GoPro's slightly smaller sensor on there. All three of these cameras are insane. I'd love to know what action camera you preferred after doing my thorough review and seeing what you think. If you've been looking at getting one of these three cameras, I do hope this has made the buying decision easier for you, and I will see you in the next video.